Welcome to Movie Time, and today we are counting down the top 10 best horror movies of 2023 for the avid horror fans who think they've seen it all. This video might introduce you to something new. We'll be delving into a selection of horror films that truly deserve recognition from enthusiasts of the genre. This compilation comprises a blend of horror movies that every fan of the genre should consider adding to their must-watch list. If you enjoyed this list of the top 10 new horror movies, feel free to share it with friends who share a fondness for horror. Stay tuned until the end of the video and let us know in the comments which movie is your favorite. Number 10. Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is a slasher film directed by Eli Roth, with a screenplay written by Jeff Rendell and a story by Roth and Rendell. It is based on Roth's mock trailer of the same name from Grindhouse 2007. Thanksgiving had its international premiere on November 4 at Morbido Fest 2023. It is scheduled to be released in the United States on November 17 by Sony Pictures Releasing's Tristar Pictures. The story is set in Plymouth, Massachusetts, a town that places great importance on celebrating Thanksgiving. When a serial killer targets the town's residents, he is determined to eliminate as many of them as possible. As he picks off his victims one by one, it becomes apparent that these seemingly random revenge killings are part of a larger sinister plan. Number 9. The Exorcist. Believer. Believer is a supernatural horror film directed by David Gordon Green. This film is the 6th installment in the Exorcist series and serves as a new sequel to the original 1973 film. It was released in the United States on October 6, 2023, and will be exclusively available for streaming on Universal's Peacock service. A sequel titled The Exorcist Deceiver is set to be released on April 2025. After Victor Fielding's pregnant wife tragically died in a Haitian earthquake 12 years ago, he has been raising their daughter Angela on his own. However, when Angela and her friend Catherine go missing in the woods and return 3 days later with no memory of what happened, it sets off a series of events that will compel Victor to confront unimaginable evil. In his fear and desperation, he seeks out the only person alive who has witnessed anything similar before, Chris McNeil. Number 8. Little Bone Lodge. Little Bone Lodge is a crime horror thriller film directed by Matthias Hoane. It was released on May 22 on digital platforms, including Amazon Video, Apple TV, and HBO Max. The film is set in a contemporary British farmhouse nestled within a thick forest. It follows the story of a seemingly polite and well-kept family. However, as the narrative unfolds, the viewers are pulled into a realm of concealed terrors and sinister truths. The suspense escalates when two felons, Jack and his younger brother Matty, who has autism, seek shelter in the lodge during a brutal storm after miraculously surviving a car accident. Holding the entire family hostage, they discover that the house harbors its own dreadful and enigmatic mysteries. As the night wears on, the family's facade begins to crack, revealing fractured relationships and buried traumas. The harrowing climax exposes the true nature of the farmhouse and its inhabitants, leaving the audience in shock and awe. Number 7. Five Nights at Freddy's. Five Nights at Freddy's is a supernatural horror film based on the video game series and franchise of the same name created by Scott Cawthon. It premiered on Peacock on October 26, 2023, and had its theatrical release in the United States the following day, distributed by Universal Pictures. The story centers around Mike, played by Hutcherson. After being fired from his job as a security guard, is in desperate search of a new income and comes across the position at Freddy Fazbear's, where he takes on the role of a security guard. However, this night proves to be one of the most challenging experiences of his life, as Mike discovers that the animatronic mascots left behind transform into dangerous assailants after midnight. He must then strive to survive the night, while also uncovering the dark history of the pizzeria. Number 6. The Nun 2. The Nun 2 is a supernatural horror film directed by Michael Chavez, with a screenplay written by Ian Goldberg, Richard Naing, and Akilah Cooper, from a story by Cooper. serving as a sequel to The Nun 2018 and the 8th installment in the Conjuring Universe franchise. It was released in the United States by Warner Bros. Pictures on September 8, 2023. The film follows Sister Irene, played by Thaisa Farmiga, 5 years after the events of the first film, when she forms a bond with Deborah, played by Storm Reed, a novice nun struggling with her faith. They face a challenging situation as the Vatican requests Irene to perform another miracle. Valak, the malevolent entity, has not been vanquished and is spreading terror among religious figures throughout Europe as priests become victims of horrifying demonic murders, including immolations and hangings. Irene and Deborah urgently travel to a French boarding school to uncover Valak's motives and find a way to banish her back to the depths of hell. Number 5. Cobweb. Cobweb is a horror thriller film directed by Samuel Bodine in his directorial debut. Its screenplay, written by Chris Thomas Devlin, was included in the 2018 The Blacklist. The duration of the movie is about 88 minutes. Cobweb had a limited theatrical release in the United States by Lionsgate on July 21, 2023. The story follows 8-year-old Peter, a shy boy who faces bullying at school. But worse than that, every night he is terrified by the sound of knocks on the walls of his bedroom and wakes up from sleep. Amidst these unsettling nocturnal disturbances, Peter's parents make valiant attempts to reassure him that these eerie sounds are nothing more than figments of his overactive imagination, a manifestation of his fertile mind that extracts the best from his fertile imagination. However, Peter's growing unease leads him to suspect that there may be darker, hidden secrets concealed by his parents, secrets he lacks the courage even to fathom. Number 4. The Last Voyage of the Demeter. The Last Voyage of the Demeter is a supernatural horror film directed by Andrew Vidal. It is an adaptation of The Captain's Log, a chapter from the 1897 novel Dracula by Bram Stoker. The duration of the movie is about 119 minutes. The film tells the terrifying story of the merchant ship Demeter. On August 6, 1897, the Demeter ship ran aground in England. Among the corpses discovered by the police, there is the captain's logbook in which his tortured handwriting describes a nightmarish journey. According to the captain, 4 weeks prior, the Demeter set sail from Varna, Bulgaria to load its cargo for London. This mysterious cargo consisted of several large wooden crates containing unknown contents, with dragon-shaped symbols painted on them. The crew began their journey with Demeter smoothly until everything suddenly fell apart. One day near sunset, all the animals on board the ship were killed by an unidentified assailant, marking the beginning of Dracula's hunt, who is after the lives of all the ship's inhabitants. Number 3. No One Will Save You. No One Will Save You is a science fiction horror film written, directed, and produced by Brian Duffield. The film is among features with only 5 words of dialogue over a 93-minute runtime. It opened in theaters on September 19, 2023, and was released to streaming services by 20th Century Studios as a Hulu original film in the United States and on Disney Plus Star internationally on September 22. The plot centers around Bryn Adams, played by Caitlin Dever, a gifted and imaginative young woman who has become isolated from her community. Despite her loneliness, Bryn holds on to hope and finds comfort within the familiar walls of her childhood home. However, her peace is shattered one night when she is startled by peculiar sounds made by clearly otherworldly intruders. What ensues is a high-stakes showdown between Bryn and a group of extraterrestrial entities, jeopardizing her future and compelling her to confront her past. Number 2. Saw X. Saw X is a horror film and the 10th installment in the Saw film series, and serves as both a direct sequel to Saw 2004 and prequel to Saw 2 2005. It is directed and edited by Kevin Grudert and written by Josh Stolberg and Peter Goldfinger. The film stars Tobin Bell and Shawnee Smith, reprising their roles from the previous films. It was theatrically released by Lionsgate on September 29, 2023. The story unfolds in the period between Saw 1 and 2. John Kramer, who has been diagnosed with terminal brain cancer, crosses paths with another patient facing a similar grim prognosis. He asserts that he has been miraculously healed through an experimental cancer therapy in Mexico. In a state of illness and desperation, John embarks on a perilous journey to Mexico, pinning his hopes on this experimental medical procedure to be a miraculous cure for his cancer. However, he soon realizes that he has fallen victim to a deceitful scheme. Armed with a renewed sense of purpose, John goes back to his life, taking matters into his own hands and exacting revenge on the fraudsters in his distinctively visceral manner, employing a series of cunning and horrifying traps. Number 1. Talk to Me. Talk to Me is a supernatural horror film directed by Danny and Michael Filippo and written by Danny Filippo and Bill Heinzman. It premiered at the Adelaide Film Festival on October 30, 2022, and was released in Australia on July 27, 2023 by Maslow Entertainment. The story revolves around Mia, a high school student played by Sophie Wilde. On the anniversary of her mother's premature passing, she, along with her close friend Jade and Jade's younger brother Riley, decide to sneak out to a house party. While there, they stumble upon a new game called Talk to Me. In this game, some of Mia's classmates use a plaster hand positioned in an odd manner. When someone shakes the hand and utters the phrase, "Talk to me, I let you in," the spirit of a deceased individual enters them and communicates through their voice. Failing to release the grip and failing to extinguish the candle within 90 seconds will result in the unleashing of terrifying supernatural forces. Thank you for watching today's video. By subscribing to our channel, you'll be the first to know about new movie releases. You'll also have access to our curated list of must-see movies, ranging from classic films to the latest blockbusters. So, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button and join our community of movie lovers today.